All right, so this video will focus on Chapter 6, Section 2. It says order the decimals from least to greatest. So if I look here, the smallest number that I have is this 1.4, and then 1.44, and then 3.3, and then 4.1, and then 4.3. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to pause this video for a moment and try to organize these from least to greatest. All right, so hopefully you had a moment to do that. Let's check. Now I want you to stop for a moment and look for any patterns that you notice, any clues into how to do this. The big thing that I think you should pay attention to is like 0.2 is smaller than 0.24. I know it sounds silly and you may not take that for granted, but make sure that you understand that this number here, we're just looking from left to right, and as the numbers get bigger, they go in order. And this would be like 1.50 versus 1.57. So just make sure you have that down. So how could you order numbers that are written as fractions, decimals, and percents? Well, I mean, first of all, you just did the decimals really easily. So technically, you could change everything in the decimals and order that way, right? So let's work with a partner and figure out which number form fraction, decimal, percent is the most common. So I have 7% sales tax or 1/20 sales tax. I never heard of 1/20% sales tax in my life. They mean the same thing, but I've always heard that 7%. Or how about 0.37 cups of flour or 1/3 cup of flour? I always hear the 1/3. So in this case, percent is more common. In this case, the fraction is more common. We have a 5/8 wrench or a 0.375-inch wrench. I always hear 5/8. If I have 12 3/5 dollars or $12.56. 93% or 7/8. A 5.56 fluid ounces or 5.6 fluid ounces. As you could tell, we use all these things interchangeably, and they all mean different things to us, but they're all actually equal to each other. So which is greater, 3/20 or 16%? Let's think about that. Well, it's hard to compare these two things because they're totally different, but if you have a quick calculator and you can figure this out, let's just do it. So if I do 3 divided by 20, I have 0.15, and 16/100 is 0.16. So, which is more common? And as you can see, there's a few ways to do this. So we can either do 3 into 20, which is, if I want to turn this into 100, so I make it percentage, I would multiply the top by 3 or by 5 as well. And that's how you get 15, and 15 is less than 16%. Which is greater, 79% or 0.08? I could turn this into a decimal, which would just be, or a percent, which would go over 2 spots, which would be 8%. And 79% is much greater than 8%. Which is greater, 25% or 7/25? Well, let's change this into a percent. That means I want to be over 100, right? It looks like it'll be easy to do. So times 4 times 4. So what is 7 times 4? 1428. So this would be 28%, where this is 25%. This one here is 0.49. If I want to turn this into a percent, I move it over 2 spots. So pretty easy stuff. Your sister and your friend take the same number of shots. You make 72%, and your sister makes 19/25. Well, let's just look here. 19/25. I could turn this into a percentage very easily, right? This would be times 4, and times 4. So 19 times 4 equals 76. So far, this is the winner. 76, then 72, and then your friend makes 0.67 or 0.67 of his shots. We'll turn this into a percent. Move it over 2 spots, and you have 67%. Who made the fewest? This person. They made 67%. This one here says you make 75% of your shots, and your sister makes 3/20, and your friend makes 7/7. So who made the most? Well, let's just change this. This is 75%. Multiply this by 5 in both cases, and you get 65. And then this one here is 70%. If I move it over 2 spots and add a percent sign. So who makes the most? You do. This one here says the map shows portions of the U.S. population that live in the 5 states. List the 5 states in order by population. So I have 1/50, 0.12, 0.25, 6%, or 0.3. Let's just quickly do this. Let's write them all out. So if I go through, I know that 1/50th, if I want to turn it into a percent, it has to be over 100, right? So this is 2 over 100 or 2%. Not very many people live in Washington. California is 0.12. And if I want to move this over into a percent, I move over 2 spots and add a percent sign. So 12%. And that'll be California. And this is Washington. Michigan is 0.03. I move over 2 spots and I get 3% Michigan. Move over 2 spots, I get 3% Michigan. Next one is New York, and that's 6%. So let's put down 6%. And that is New York. And I think Ohio. So Ohio is 1/25th. Over 100, let's turn to a percent. This is 4 over 100, which equals 4%. So if you look here, which one has, or we have to order from least to greatest. So it looks like it'll be Washington, then Michigan, then Ohio, then New York, then California. And there it is. And it says here, portion of the U.S. that live in Texas is 2 over 25. And the portion that lives in Illinois is 0.042. So if I turn this into a percent, this would be 4.2%. Let's put that down. 4.2% is Illinois. And the other one is Texas, which is 2 over 25. So it'll be over 100 times 4 times 4 is 8%. 8% Texas. When you reorder, this is what the order will be. And you can see how easily we're going in and out of fractions, percents, and decimals.